Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Pumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. SABC Network now. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is News Network at sabc.co.za. That's on email. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you've ever been duped into believing someone who you thought was an expert because of the views they share on social media after a certain man posed as a medical doctor, calling himself Dr. Matthew Lani on social media and also giving out medical advice as well. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up in this particular episode. It's still Cybersecurity Month, and we look at a report that is suggesting that South Africans have diminished trust on the internet. We have information on cloud computing, and in our conversation, we chat about technology's impact on travel. Because of increased cybersecurity threats, a lot of people have been found here in South Africa to have lessened trust in the internet and when they do their activities there.
Last year, an international study by IP Source revealed that since 2019, South Africans' trust in the internet has declined. This is due to concerns over privacy and the protection of personal data. Technology companies such as Google and TikTok say they have features and tools on their platforms that create a safe environment for the users.
This tool really is just about giving back the power to the user and try to get them to sort of control the information that's out there about them. So, for instance, you're able to use this tool to take out your name, your addresses, your emails that are online that you're not comfortable with. You really just go into this tool, you prompt it, whether it's either you do it up front, which is you will almost tell the tool that you want this taken down.
Specifically for TikTok, we take user privacy very, very seriously. So we make sure that, when we design our products or our services, from design phase to implementation to ongoing management, we make sure that we incorporate what we call privacy principles. So it's privacy by design from the get-go to make sure that at every stage of that process, privacy is always embedded into it.
South Africa's Protection of Personal Information Act was implemented on July 1st, 2020. The law governs when and how organizations collect, use, store, delete, and otherwise handle personal information. Artificial intelligence lawyer and tech justice champion Deshni Govender says there is a difference between the protection of personal information and protection against personal data information, which is a much wider context.
So when we talk about protecting personal information, yes, there's legislation around that. When we talk about how data is used, that is very wide context because data is a much, much wider field. People don't realize how many data points they have as a person that especially with the advent of technology, how many different points, touch points, and pieces of information can be put together to form a profile about a person.
A study done by UNICEF entitled SA Kids Online Study found that more than 95% of the children in South Africa have access to the internet regularly. Study also found that 70% of those children surveyed use the internet without parental consent. TikTok says it has security measures in place but urges parents to monitor what their children see online.
So we've got an app called Family Pairing. This app actually, it's a feature actually, it's not an app. This feature actually allows you as a parent to pair your phone with your child's phone so that you can monitor the kind of activity, their activity on TikTok. You can see which videos they're seeing. You can actually veto or decide this person unfriend or this person cannot be your friend. You can even set screen time limits So it's to limit maybe your child to 30 minutes of TikTok per day and stuff like that.
And now, as you know, we've really just updated sort of the new safeguard features that we have that helps protect you and your family from inevitably encountering explicit imagery on search. This is one of the things that we've just introduced. I've already mentioned the results about you tool that we've mentioned, but also there's a safeguard blur, which really aims to help families control sort of the information that's out there that their kids can access.
Deshni says it's important for people to know and understand what they agree to when they click agree to the terms and conditions these apps come with.
We have instances where we look at what's happening on social media, what's happening on our WhatsApps, and all of these apps, remember, we accept terms of service as they are used. And they do make our lives easier, they are secure, but we also don't know what happens in the background. So if I were, for example, to do a Google search, I don't know what information that's being tracked in the different applications or even in the background of the services that I'm given that can curate what Google is showing me. If you did a Google search right now and I did a Google search right now, based on our different geolocations and based on the profiles that are built in the background into those algorithms on who we are, what our preferences are, our search results could be very different.
Progress to protect South Africans from personal information violation has been made with the implementation of the POPI Act. But is there more that can be done to make sure people's personal and data information is safe from online risks?
Cloud computing continuously changes the way we work and the way we do things. As we often talk about its importance in this fourth industrial revolution, AWS tells us about their latest in cloud computing.
Throughout 2019, AWS held free summits around the world aimed at bringing the cloud computing community together to connect, collaborate, and learn. From San Francisco to Beijing, thousands of technologies gathered at these day-long events to hear from AWS leadership, as well as to meet and network with the wider industry. The Johannesburg installment was not different.
But the fact that AWS put down a development center as early as 2004 in Cape Town, and then actually built one of the largest services that AWS has today, and hosts computing workloads, from largest organizations all around the world, is pretty an amazing story coming out of South Africa. When we looked at South Africa all the way back in 2004, we looked at some of the the skills and the talent that was available in the country, and we're able to harness that for a lot of the universities to actually put into building what we have in EC2 and in AWS.
Here, the AWS team set up dedicated theater and technical spaces for founders and entrepreneurs.
I think companies are doing a lot of experimenting right now. So the encouragement really is with a service like Bedrock on AWS is start playing around, start finding some ideas that you can go and innovate on and see what works and see what doesn't work. My teams in Amazon, a few of my teams actually went away and just started playing themselves and brought back some amazing success stories of allowing customers in natural language to debug problems within their application and that sort of thing. So I think a lot of experimentation is going to be key. And then the other thing we're really focused on is how do we reduce the cost of generative AI. And some of that's going to happen in model development, and models are going to get cheaper, but some of it's going to have to happen in the hardware.
Keynote addresses were delivered by various speakers who touched on how they are using AWS to better their own businesses.
Our thinking has primarily been looked at specific workloads that support the context of having a cloud presence. And I think obviously you always have the opportunity with the way we actually architecture and deploy those technologies into the actual cloud environment or closing those data centers to have an integration that's available should we in future decide, for example, to partner with someone who has an on-prem presence. So in essence, we made sure that with the architecture and how we approach those decisions, we don't interlock or close ourselves up to partner with any on-prem deployed services. So it really is an open architecture that we're applying.
The future in payments is amazing. So I personally believe that if we're one day at a stage where payments disappear, the less you know about payments, the more well it works. It used to be true for electricity, right? Nobody here knew how electricity works. We know a bit too much about how electricity works today. And this is because it's probably not working as well as it should. So if payments in the future completely disappears and it's just something that naturally happens in the background, I think that will be the ultimate goal.
There's been different industrial revolutions, such as the steam engine, electricity, internet, and AI. And we're still struggling with electricity till this day in Africa. But we thought if we can advance the AI, the digital landscape, it will bring about solutions that will accelerate the development of all the other industrial revolutions. And the answers will come from Africans. There will be indigenous technologies and innovations that we can use.
The platform also provides AWS with an opportunity to show off its range of products to its partners.
You know, historically, if you wanted to build an application, you would need to go and buy a server. You'd need to think about a data center where you would host that server. You'd have to spend money, capex, to get that server. And what happened in the past is a lot of innovation just never got off the ground because, you know, companies couldn't afford to do the innovation. Maybe it was somebody out there that wanted to do a startup and they couldn't afford to go and buy a data center or rent a data center. And what cloud computing really did is it brought access to computers, storage, networking, all of the basic fundamentals that you need for a website or for an application online. It made that available immediately. And so the whole idea is you pay for what you use. So you pay by the hour. You don't have to spend any capex. You don't have to buy servers. And when you don't need the computers anymore, you actually just give them back to us.
At this summit, the company also announced a $4 billion into Anthropic, one of the hottest artificial intelligence startups in the world.
This week in our Startup Corner, we find out about a business that uses nanotechnology to give us a new kind of water.
First, it was important for us because we wanted a product that performs. If we say to you, the CBD water helps with insomnia, you should get the effect of actually being able to sleep. If we say to you it helps with the pain, if we say to you it helps with anxiety, you should be able to get the effect, right? And the only way that you're going to get the effect is if your body absorbs it, right? Now, if you think about the water and CBD oil, that if you put water and CBD oil, it floats on top, right? I mean, if you put CBD oil on water, the oil will float on top because water and oil don't mix, right? Now, nanotechnology is a process of encapsulating the CBD so that the CBD oil, so that it actually becomes soluble in water completely, right? So that's what the technology achieved for us. It made CBD soluble in water and it delivered to us a clear product. But also, what's important is that we deliver 10 milligrams of CBD, right, into the bottles, and that 10 milligram is actually enabled through nanotechnology to be delivered 100% into your system, because you get to absorb all of it. And globally and in South Africa, there's a burgeoning cannabis industry, and the players in the industry have introduced their products, but those products have not had a repeat sales because of the poor performance of the cannabis products. And I think when we also wanted to enter this industry, we didn't want to enter and do what everybody else has been doing, right? We wanted to understand why is it that this industry is not as successful as it was supposed to be. And part of what we discovered was that the products don't perform because of bioavailability. In other words, you take CBD oil, but your body only absorbs a fraction, between 6 and 13% of it. And also you have to take it with fatty food to make it much more effective. And so then you have a situation where you have an inconsistent performance of the product. The other part is that we didn't want to be primary producers, like maybe the guys that grow cannabis and the guys that do primary processing of oil. We wanted to play at a pharmaceutical level, wanted to play at the high scientific level of a cannabis, right? And that's why we only engaged with organizations that were working towards that direction. One of them was Totoma Biosciences, owned by Martin Magwaza, who's been working on ideas around cannabis for a long time. And we also partnered with the one South African scientific house that has a nanotechnology platform. But the nanotechnology platform was generic, could be used for a whole lot of things to make a compound water soluble and bioavailable. But it's now been used on a cannabis, right? We use it on cannabis in order to make cannabis water soluble and bioavailable, and that way we were able to produce a product that is a performance product. You take this water, you get a reaction. In other words, you get the promise of a cannabis delivered to you through a nanotechnology. What we have achieved is a world first. In terms of being able to deliver a clear water, a CBD water beverage to the market that delivers the cannabis promise. In fact, if you were to compare the visual appearance of our product and what is in the market, it's a huge difference. We're the only ones with a clear product. You can take any South African cannabis product and compare with ours, which is why our product is in a transparent container. They're all in cans so that you don't see what the product looks like, right?
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about the impact of social media and other technologies in the travel space. It's already October, which suggests that the festive season in December is fast approaching, and if you haven't made those holiday bookings, you might find it a struggle to find destinations and places in which you can stay if you do find those destinations. But everything has gone online, which means it's a lot easier for us. Now, to talk to us about where marketing of tourism destinations has moved is Pinky Khatebe. She is the head of PR and communication at Tourism KZN. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Pinky. Maybe if we start with social media, how can destinations leverage the power of social media?
Well, Siphumelele, social media plays a pivotal role in the life of a business and in lives of destination marketing agencies and promotional entities, also in businesses, because this is the new way of communicating. This is a new way of selling your products, but most importantly for us as Tourism KwaZulu-Natal, we use it to actually reach out to audiences, also to travelers that wouldn't have reached personally. However, using social media and positioning our province, KwaZulu-Natal, and our destination as a must-see destination has been so critical, and social media really assists us to do that.
And is it the same for establishments? How can they go about doing this?
The most important thing is first start by having or using social media platforms such as your Facebook, which is the one platform that is really showing us yielding results for us, but also for businesses. You use social media to sell your products, sell your destinations, but also sell your offerings. Instagram is also showing up as one of the tools that you can use to actually sell your products, sell your offerings. As a destination, people wouldn't generally know us, but because there's been social media, there's quite a lot of work that we do in that front.
And with what you say, is there still a need for traditional media and old ways of marketing?
Absolutely, Siphumelele. I mean, user-generated content is the one thing that whoever is watching or is a viewer will actually believe that there is such a product that you are visiting. For an example, we work very closely with social media influencers or people of influence who actually come and sample our products. They do the experiences, and then they generate this content throughout their platforms. And ordinarily, you wouldn't reach a person by just doing an advert, but because you work with social media personalities, then there is that believe, it's very believable. And so we're getting a lot of people now who actually venture into social media to see how authentic those experiences through this generated content.
Is the advice you'd give to new entrants in the tourism space?
Well, I wouldn't really say that there is no need, but however, there is a greater need to actually migrate into using social media because those results yield faster. It's also very believable. But now there are even tools to actually gauge or monitor the kind of value that you're getting through social media. So I wouldn't really say let's abandon it. There is a segment or a target market that still believes in consuming the old way. However, the new generation, the higher LSMs as well, use social media because it's readily available. It's on your phone, and by a click of a button, you are able to actually make bookings. For an example, in tourism, you no longer go for brochures. You no longer go through a travel office to actually go and look for information. Everything is on your phone, on apps. So it's actually an important platform.
All right, Pinky Khadebe, thank you very much for being a part of our network. That is Pinky Khadebe. She is the head of PR and communication at Tourism KwaZulu-Natal. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. On email. Stay with us. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. On email, welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
Researchers from Northwestern University have used artificial intelligence to design functional robots from scratch within seconds. The study, published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, marks the first instance of AI generating entirely novel robot designs unbound by human biases or previous blueprints.
It actually starts from scratch. And the way that it works is it generates this random body that kind of looks like a sponge, and it evaluates its behavior. It's probably not so good at walking or whatever you want this robot to do. And then, thanks to a little neat mathematical trick, it can kind of see into the future and tell how changes to the body will affect its behavior, make it better or worse. So the AI starts changing the shape of the robot and repositioning muscles within its body so that it becomes better and better at walking.
Traditional approaches often involve colossal datasets and energy-intensive supercomputers, limiting the scope of innovation to mimicking post-human creations. In contrast, this new AI operates on a lightweight personal computer, sidestepping the need for extensive computational resources. And now in Norway. Turning seawater into clean, drinkable water is one solution to meeting an ever-growing global demand. But desalination, essentially stripping seawater of salts and other minerals, is very energy-intensive. Norwegian company Waterize has patented a deep-water solution using an energy-efficient reverse osmosis filtration process.
So we are utilizing the hydrostatic pressure, harnessing it, utilizing it. We have from the nature inlet pressure on the membranes, and what we simply do, use pump on the other side to create an under pressure suction pressure, so we are pulling the water through rather than pushing it through the membranes.
The company says they are now developing partnerships around the world with organizations looking to use their technology. And now in Japan. Tokyo-based startup Tsubame Industries has spent the past 2 years developing a 4.5-meter tall, four-wheeled robot with a passing resemblance to Mobile Suit Gundam from the wildly popular Japanese animation series, to be unveiled at the Japan Mobility Show in late October. Tsubame Industries later plans to sell 5 units of this robot for 400 million yen, which is about $2.7 million each.
なぜ、作りたいかと思った一番最初のきっかけはですね、最初はなんか新しい乗り物を作りたかったなと考えておりました。で、その上でですね、日本ってアニメ産業とか、ゲーム産業、あとはロボット産業ですね、あと自動車産業がすごい得意かなと思っていて、それらの要素をこうギュッと圧縮したような、 This is Japan みたいなプロダクトが作れればいいなっていうのが一番最初です。
Oshida plans to build and sell 5 of the machines as a toy for the well-heeled robot fan, but hopes they could one day be used for disaster relief or in the space industry.
For much of this week, a certain Dr. Matthew Lane has been trending on social media in South Africa, and there have even been videos made overseas about this particular individual. This is because the person claiming to be a medical doctor, this doctor, Matthew Lane, and saying that he received a university degree from Wits and was the youngest person to do so, was not even a medical doctor. So this week, Twitter poll is asking you if you've ever been duped by people on social media into believing what they were not, maybe to the point of you buying whatever it is that they were selling. And that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. From me, Spumelele Zondi, and the rest of the network team. Have a good one. Bye-bye.